We are on the cusp of a major social change. Do you feel it? Even if you don't, make no mistake, change is coming, and it is going to be unforgettable. I'm your host, Dr. Sarah Hart, and here on Prime Spark, where we work with and on behalf of women over 55, I want to help you find that spark that will ignite your way forward, reflect your gifts to the world, and illuminate your path through this next stage of life. Through these podcast conversations, I hope to inspire you to see how you can make a significant contribution to some of the gnarly problems that are facing us right now. Join me, and together let's discover our Prime Spark. Hi, and welcome to Prime Spark. I'm Sarah Hart, and I'm so happy you're here with us. Prime Spark is designed for women over 50 or close, with a goal to help us all live our happiest, most fulfilling, and productive lives, now and in the future. The mission of Prime Spark is to change the way the society sees and treats older women. That's a big mission, which only means we all need to be involved and we need to get going now. And today I have the pleasure of talking with Wangari Kamau, a woman whose work I greatly admire. Wangari says about herself, "My passion for working on wellness awareness came from two life-altering events, moments of profound upheaval that nudged me toward the path of healing and self-discovery. The first event arose when I found the courage to raise my voice against unequal pay. Standing up against the establishment was daunting, made worse by the intense backlash stemming from dehumanizing treatment. The second event arrived when my almost 30-year marriage ended. Suddenly, I was standing at the precipice of my 50s, left with the task of redefining my identity beyond what had always anchored me. As I worked through these major changes, I sought healing through formal therapy, enriching my soul with meditation, personal travel, and healthy living. I bring to you not only my life experiences, but also my professional expertise in global training and development, which includes designing and leading retreats and workshops for diverse participants and my many years of effective coaching." Welcome, Wangari. I'm so happy you're here today.
Thank you, Sarah, for that really warm welcome. I'm thrilled to be here today.
So just in getting started, Wangari, tell me, do you experience getting older? And if so, what is that experience? And if not, why do you think it is that you don't?
I think to a certain extent, we all experience getting older because it happens from the day we're born. We automatically start aging, and maybe we don't really pay that much attention to it until we get to the half-life mark most of us are lucky enough to get to when you're 50. Then you realize, oh, getting older is really moving fast. And then we start to, of course, find ways to enhance that experience or address that experience. And many of us are on this journey of seeking how to navigate getting older. That's what I think. We all experience getting older from the day we're born.
And some of us recognize it and some of us try not to.
Yes, we ignore it and hope it'll go away.
Yeah, it's going to happen to everybody, but it's not going to happen to me.
Exactly.
So, Wangari, you had an amazing trip in getting to where you are. So could you tell us a little bit more about what led you to the space of reinventing yourself? Just a little more detail than I read.
First of all, leaving my home country of Kenya to come to the United States and work here as an immigrant has its own challenges, adapting to a new culture, and then working in an organization that basically I could say owned me because they gave me the visa to be in the United States, and then rising up to challenge that very organization, you could say, is like biting the hand that feeds you. Having the courage to do that, that I could say is one experience that really did shape me. And just navigating life as somebody who is always in the space of wanting to learn, to unlearn, to relearn. I'm always pursuing knowledge. I've always been curious. So some of those things have shaped where I have ended up, because even after I left where I worked for an international organization, I set up my own company, a consulting firm where I work in global leadership and training and development, and engaging with different clients, getting a business off the ground. That has also shaped me. And having great community of friends and people who believe in me. I think that has also been one of the things that have helped me on this journey.
So what when you say you sort of biting the hand that fed you, what was that when you brought up the unequal pay?
Yes. And I say that because where I worked, you could not go to the courts outside. The organization is a diplomatic entity, so you can only have the case tried within the system. Think of it like maybe people in the military. Sometimes there are some cases that have to be tried within that setup. And that was the exact environment I was in. Plus, this was the same organization that gave me a visa to be in the United States. So things could go quite wrong, but sometimes you just have to stand in your truth.
So given that you're still here, I guess they didn't take away your visa.
No, because I was lucky enough to be at a time count where I was, after I won my case, I was able to then work for about one more year and then exit the organization. And the years I had been in the United States made good math for me to apply and get a green card.
Oh, excellent.
So I was very fortunate.
Yeah. And it was a very brave thing you did.
Yes, and some of my colleagues came back and told me, oh, we think you're the Lily Ledbetter of this organization, because I don't know if you know the story of Lily Ledbetter, who went all the way to the Supreme Court after she realized she had been underpaid compared to her peers who were all male at Goody attire. And when the case went to the Supreme Court, they said, oh, wow, that's really bad. We'll give you 6 months retroactive pay for being underpaid for the last, I think, 30 years or so. And then President Obama signed into law the Lilly Ledbetter Act that then stated that women, if underpaid, would be paid the salary of underpayment from the moment they were underpaid, not 6 months ago. Of course, Lilly Ledbetter did not benefit from this, but the act was named after her because it was her courage that helped shape this. And what I did in my organization, as I said, it's a diplomatic entity, so they don't adhere to the laws in the United States. So some people said, oh, we should call it the Wangari Kamau Act, which was nice. And also it made me feel I set precedents, and it made me feel it was worth the emotional trauma and whatever I went through over 3.5 years.
Oh, good for you. That is so courageous. So tell us what you mean by healthy aging.
Yes. You know, Sarah, healthy aging for me is about making sure that we have mobility, that we have our cognition as we age. It's not about pursuing eternal youth. It's not about trying to look 20 when you're 60 or all that stuff. And I'm not saying that I'm knocking people who get plastic surgery. It's also about saying, yes, you can do it, but don't overdo it to the point where your eyes, because the eyes are the window to the soul. And no matter how young you try to make your skin or the skin around your face look, when somebody looks into your eyes, they can see your age. And if you've had an unhappy life or your mind is unsettled, it'll show in your eyes. So it's more about healthy aging is just being comfortable in your body, in who you are, and working to nourish that body in a healthy way so that you will have mobility until the end when you exit. And you will have your cognition and be able to live a life where you learn new things, you pursue new ideas. You can even start a business when you're 80. Who said there's a law or a rule?
I've seen people who are listening to you all over the country running out to get some certain kind of context so people looking in their eyes can't see how old they are.
You can't hide that unless you wear shades inside.
So one of the things I have read that you talk about, and I'm curious about it, is the personal mirror approach. What is that?
Oh, well, thank you for asking that question, Sarah. It's when I started working on wellness, given my background of training and development, I developed content that anchors my meditation facilitation training, my way of living healthy, and my professional background, and bringing all these into one bucket. And I called this program the Personal Mirror Approach, because when I work with people, especially one-on-one as a wellness coach or a life coach or an effective coach, some say, it's about looking at each individual on their own unique journey. Where are they when it comes to their journey on living healthy? Focusing on where are they when it comes to their mind, when it comes to their body, when it comes to their spirit. And then once I do an analysis, we then make a decision, which part are we going to start on and what are we going to do? Because even in meditation techniques, there are different ways of approaching. Let's say we're going to work on the spirit. Somebody's lifestyle may be so busy that they don't have that half an hour or 15 minutes to sit down and do meditation. So I help them craft what we call mindfulness meditation, whether it's when you're making that cup of coffee in the morning or that first cup of tea in the morning, staying fully present when you do that. Or if you're a busy mom or dad and you have to drop those children off to school in the morning, when you've dropped them off and you're driving to your office or back home, every time you stop at a traffic light, giving you some different breathing techniques where you just sit at that traffic light and you do something until the light goes green again. And also just making sure that when you sit down to eat, that you really sit down and everything is silent and you focus just on the food, not try to do 2, 3, 4 things at the same time. So I really work, when I say personal mirror approach, I'm looking at everybody in their own unique journey, their ability, physical abilities. You can't expect somebody who has chronic pain to suddenly start going to the gym and running on the treadmill all the time. What are some gentle exercises that they can work into their routine, whether it's from a chair, or maybe they don't have the resources to go to a gym. So maybe when they do their housework, there's something they can adapt that makes it better for them to move their body. And maybe when it comes to, I talked about the mind, maybe somebody doesn't have the resources to travel. How do we work around that? Is there a public library nearby where they could borrow? Let's say we agree, well, if they say something like, I've always wanted to go to China, maybe go and borrow a book written by a Chinese author that has a narrative, and then just sit and read that. So it's about, the personal mirror approach is really about looking at each individual and working with them. And even if they've gone through some emotional trauma, can I work with them? Because I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a PhD psychologist. Can I work with them to help them find a resource that will help address that? Because what I do is complement what somebody has worked on with a therapist. I don't take the place of a therapist. It's like, how are you going to go on this onward journey to keep the balance now that you've done all this hard work, like I did with my therapist? to make sure you stay on this path of living healthy.
Fascinating. I love that, because I think some people who don't have somebody that provides that sort of stay in therapy forever, and they're actually ready to leave but need something after. So that's wonderful. So, Wangari, do you experience any kind of pushback for being a woman of color, an older woman? I mean, what is your experience?
Well, I think, Sarah, I would say they say there's the double bind, which women like me experience, which means the racism and the sexism. I'd like to add in, I think there's the triple bind, which is even the diasporaism, me being a foreigner and an immigrant, because first of all, my accent is neither here nor there. And sometimes I will say some words and somebody's like, oh, okay. Oh, you mean X? I'm like, yes, that's what I meant. So, and then being older, there is the bias also that comes with, men, when they age, they're distinguished and they're debonair. But women, when we stop being of childbearing age, for some reason, society decides, oh, we're done with you. And even if you never went that path of motherhood, you're still defined and put in all the same bucket. It's like after 50, women just need to maybe go live on an island together somewhere and stop bothering society. When you look at advertisements, and honestly, we have a lot of resources. If only these corporate companies would realize how smart we are, how incredibly talented we are. We're starting businesses. And I've seen, when I started my own company in 2018, I reached out to a lot of women mentors, and many of them were so kind and so open to helping me and telling me, oh, do this so you avoid that. I learned it the hard way. I think women are more willing to be supportive of each other because they also realize and know how hard it can be. I've always sought community so that when I do experience those moments of ageism or racism or sexism, I have a go home to group where they can tell me, no, you're not crazy. It is really happening. And this is what I learned from that experience. Accepting, sadly, that it is a reality that women are much more discriminated against as they age. And we need to find spaces where we are supported, where we feel heard, where we feel we can heal. And I think that that's one way of dealing with it because it's not going to go away.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's true. One of the things that just confuses me, and I'm naive, but what confuses me, what you said before about the resources that we have. I mean, if our society were to look at older women now, without the memory of what older women used to be, we are different. And I have friends, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and they are vibrant, they're alive, they're contributing. It's like our society hasn't caught up with that realization yet.
I totally, totally agree with you. It's like there's a lag. And even what's put out as commercials, you don't see our faces visibly, except a few organizations here and there who will have a commercial with older women. Or even now, I've seen a few key roles for older women in the movie industry, but that you could say is just a slow uptick. It's just that where does all that brain power go, and all that financial power go?
That's the part of it that I just can't make compute, because if nothing else, we have a huge financial power. I don't understand companies not marketing more to us because we've got the money. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Exactly. We're not, we've done whatever we've done in life. We've invested or saved our money. And if they were to court us, and value us, we'd probably spend it on their organization.
Right. So, Wangari, tell me about any transitions you've made in your life. You have done several different things, including moving countries. So, you have some big transitions. Can you describe what they were, what led up to them, and what the outcome was?
I think I was always a child who grew up, fortunately, in a family where I was always encouraged to learn or pursue what interested me. And I love languages. So from a very young age, I learned how to speak English, Swahili, French. I always loved learning new languages. And I learned French all the way up into college. And then I left my home country of Kenya and went to the southwest of France and studied there. Then was fortunate enough to get offered a job working in Paris, and I worked there for a while. And I've always loved travel. So travel has always been part of my DNA, I would say. And most of the things I've done in life have been not overly planned and scripted. It's just been like, oh, okay, I could live in Paris for a while. Oh, yes, I found a job. Then I thought, okay. Then I got offered a job to come and work in Washington, D.C. in the United States. And I was like, that would be interesting. Let me go see what that's about. So I've always been somebody who's like meandering through life, not with, I have a broad plan, but I don't like think, oh, I don't have a 401k. How am I going to live when I get old? I don't let, maybe ignorance is bliss, but I didn't overthink many things. All these travels and settling in new countries and being fortunate enough, of course, to have the resources and the education background, and also being from Kenya, the visa issue, which can be pretty challenging, worked out for me. Ending up working in an international organization where, despite the unequal pay, I was able to do many, many different things that I probably wouldn't have done if I was working in a company or an organization that's just based in one area. A global organization is a great place to work. You meet people. I met people from like 188 different countries. Mm. I worked in a cross-cultural environment at different levels, designing onboarding programs, leadership programs, sponsorship programs, always to do with people development because I love people. I did get stuck in a role once, though, to do with finance and closing books and balancing budgets. And that was not good for me. It was terrible. I'm good with money, but it's not something I would think it didn't fit my temperament. I didn't want that to be my way of making a living. It just didn't gel well with me. So people development, training and development became my real passion, and just developing content and traveling and seeing the world. That's still my passion. I love travel because I feel that travel is something that really opens up your mind to other people, to other cultures, to accepting people who do not look like you, to learning what a global mindset is, which is to approach people who are not like you with curiosity rather than judgment. And that has really helped me when I was in situations where maybe I didn't understand where the other person was coming from, and reminding myself, are you really exhibiting a global mindset right now? Are you approaching this with curiosity rather than judgment? That has been my way of living. And I've been fortunate enough that every time I've moved, things have worked out for me. I've been able to earn a living, not make tons and tons of money, but be able to pay my rent or buy my food when I was younger, because then when you're just you can go anywhere, right? You don't have a family to worry about or to think about. And even when I later on got married and I had two incredible kids who have grown to be phenomenal human beings, I continued that global mindset way of raising them. And we were lucky enough that we had the resources for them to travel all over the world. And today we still do one trip per year, a global trip, where we go away and one person, we have a little rotating schedule where each person gets to choose. I'm choosing X destination next year, and then we plan around that. And sending them to school and to go into environments where they see different people, and also going to school abroad. So when they came back, they're global citizens.
So having said all that, Wangari, what is next for you? What are you dreaming about that you haven't done yet, that you hope is on the horizon for you?
I think for me next is I am a deep student of meditation, and I would love to get to nirvana or samadhi, which is the space where you're fully absorbed and harmonized in your mind. And that's like the perfect balance. You're content. I would love to get to that, but of course, life has a lot of noise and things going on around, and that's not an easy point to get to, but that would be my ideal.
It's a wonderful ideal. Just in our closing moments, tell us about Soma Global Consulting.
Well, Soma Global Consulting is an LLC that I have where I do my leadership development. And within Soma Global Consulting, I have a venture called Tembea Wellness Retreats, where I work on what we touched on earlier, working one-on-one with people on the personal mirror approach, and also doing one-day restorative retreats. I live in the DMV area, meaning near Washington, D.C., and I do one-day restorative retreats with a taste of Kenya, where we eat Kenyan food and immerse ourselves with things to do with the Kenyan culture. And I bring in my meditation, and we work through things related to whether it's body images and just learning how to have positive affirmations that we can use every day for ourselves, working on techniques like mindful eating and mindful walking. And then we have a closing ceremony where we focus on something around the Kenyan culture with music and some things that we use, some props and gadgets. Most of the time, I also lead cohort groups, and each year it's a different group. So this year it's a meditation safari retreat to Kenya, and my focus is women over 50, where we're going to work through life's transitions. People are exiting work. What's next for them? You've been in a leadership role. What's next for you? How do you adjust to that space of maybe you don't have the kind of power you had when you were working? And also becoming uncoupled. Like I said, my own marriage ended, and suddenly you have to rebrand and find out who you are now. And just what about right sizing? And women go through many transitions, especially at 50 plus, and we tend to live longer. So if you're in your 70s, maybe you're alone now. How do you navigate all that? And that's why I say, and my retreats do not have a lot of people. Even the restorative one-day retreats I do, I cap them at 12 people because I want them to be meaningful. And I also do a wellness webinar for about an hour, and that is free of charge. It's virtual. So if there's a group of people who would like me to share that or to be part of, they could say, we want to invite you to just give this wellness session to our group. I'm happy to do that. And I can be found on LinkedIn or Instagram. But, well, I am on Facebook as Wangari Kamau, Kamau. But I think if you're on LinkedIn, you can find me also on LinkedIn, Wangari Kamau again, and it says MSc, Master of Science, GPHR on my LinkedIn ID, because there are many, many Wangari Kamaus out there. But we're very many, so it's best to type Wangari Kamau GPHR. And you can find me on Tembea Wellness also. Tembea is spelled Tembeya, wellnessretreats.com.
Okay, so for people who got lost in all that, how about, or is this not a good one? somaglobalconsulting.com.
Yes, it is. It is a subset. You can find me through that too. somaglobalconsulting.com. You can find me through that too.
That's our time today, everybody. Please join us again. You can find our Prime Spark podcast on every popular outlet. Find out more about Prime Spark at primesparkwomen.com. Thank you so much to my guest, Wangari Kamau. And don't forget, you can find her lots of places. So I'm going to tell you, it's WANGARIKAMAU. What are the letters after your name on LinkedIn? Because there are a lot of them.
GPHR.
GPHR. So that's the Wangari Kamau that you're looking for. There are several of them. I went around for a while. So
yes, several of us.
Yeah, so thank you for being with us. Spread tolerance and love. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode and would like to stay updated, you can head over to my website, primesparkwomen.com, and get my free Spark Guide, 7 questions to ignite your spark, to help you discover your own spark. See you in the next episode.